Well, hello, friends, and welcome back to the Bradford National Bank podcast studio here in beautiful downtown Highland, Illinois. This is the Highland Dirt Podcast. Let's do this. I'm your host, Kurt Vonder. Haar. How is everybody doing tonight? You doing all right? I'm doing great. The 2024 season is rolling at world-famous Highland Speedway. Hello to all of our friends watching out there live on social media via Facebook, YouTube, and X. If you have questions for us during the podcast, please put them in the comments, and we'll do our best to get to them. We've got a great show for you tonight. Joining us on the podcast will be our co-host, Jacob Blumenstein, and our special guest for tonight is local open-wheel driver, Zach Daum. Also joining us for a short segment in just a minute will be Ryan and Kason Timmons. So the Highland Dirt Podcast is brought to you tonight by the Jansen Auto Group. Hundreds of vehicles are available right now at gojansen.com. With Jansen Ford Breeze, Jansen Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Carmi, and Jansen Chevrolet in Germantown, they have just the vehicle you're looking for. You can search their entire inventory at gojansen.com. That's gojansen.com. Jansen Auto Group is proud to support local dirt track racing and world-famous Highland Speedway. You might be asking yourself, if you're catching this for the first time, what is the Highland Dirt Podcast? The Highland Dirt Podcast features dirt racing talk, plus news, information, and interviews from some of your favorite people and personalities in and around world-famous Highland Speedway. Well, next question, what is Highland Speedway, right? If you're not familiar, Highland Speedway is a quarter-mile bullring-style dirt track. We're located in Highland, Illinois, about 30 minutes east of St. Louis, Missouri. We've been racing on the dirt on Saturday nights since 1962. We race super late models, modifieds, pro modifieds, street stocks, all under the dirt car banner. Throw in micro sprints, 410 wing sprints, extreme outlaw series, 4 cylinders, vintage, kid mods, throwback sprints. We got it all in a covered facility for 3,000, located on the beautiful Madison County Fairgrounds. Did you get all that? Did you take some notes? Well, now that you know a little bit more about the podcast, you got a little history lesson on Highland Speedway. Let's bring on my co-host for tonight's podcast. He's competing in the Warrior division this year. He watches more dirt streaming services than you do. I guarantee that. He's a big-time fan of Highland Speedway. It's Jacob Blumenstein. What's up, Jacob?
What's going on, Kurt?
Well, we took last week off. Both of us had pretty busy weeks, right?
Yeah. It's been, now that the weather's starting to turn, getting busy. We had to call an audible and just take a week off.
Yep, that's right. But we're back. We got 2 nights of racing under our belts at Highland Speedway. How do you feel about it so far?
I feel good about it. I know the track needs a little bit of work. The weather conditions for this time of year aren't helping things, but I've seen car counts have been good. I was there opening night. The fan count was good. So, no, I got high expectations for this year.
Yep, and 4 first-time winners last Saturday, which was pretty wild, right?
Yeah, and I mean it's great because it gets the people that are maybe burnt out. Then there's a new face in victory lane, so it gives a little bit of hope back to the rest of the field.
Yep, and so Chad Little from up in Springfield, Illinois, won in the super late models. Zeb Moak finally gets one in the modifieds after finishing second. We don't know how many times. Andrew Depper from Belleville picks one up in the pro mods. And 15-year-old Kason Timmons picks one up in the street stock division. So, Jacob, how about before we bring on Zach Daum, let's chat with one of those first-time winners from Saturday night. What do you think?
Sounds great.
Yeah, so now joining us on the Highland Dirt Podcast, left to right. On the left, we got Kason Timmons, number 23 street stock. And on the right, his dad, pro modified driver, Ryan Timmons. What's up, Timmons crew?
Oh, another day in Hollywood.
That's right. What's up, Kason? How are you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Man, I can't complain. We're happy to have you guys on here. So Kason on the left, 15-year-old street stock driver, picks up his first win in the street stock division. Was that your first win ever at Highland?
No, so far I've had 3 heat race wins, 2 last year and the one on opening night.
Okay. What about feature wins?
Yes. Well, I got a Warrior feature win at the last season, probably 2 years ago.
Okay, I was wondering about that. So it wasn't your very first feature win, but your very first feature win in one of the big boy cars. So in one of the street stocks, I think that's pretty cool. What was it like for you? I mean, you got third in your heat. You were +4 though, so you put I think on the front row with Trevor Isaac, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So describe how'd the feature go for you? What do you remember from the race?
I got a good start and shockingly beat Trevor, one of the fastest guys out there. I got a good start, led, I think, 7 laps. And on a restart, I went up to the top and the rear end went out from underneath me, and another fast car, Eric, got around me. And I had a lot of things going through my head and seeing what I needed to do. Just trying to drive smart and not crash like this guy over here.
Little competition with Pops, but no, man, I definitely noticed in week 1 out there, I mean, how smooth your driving was, and you kept it out of trouble. Again, maybe unlike Pops over there. But Jacob, what did you notice watching the street stocks?
Yeah, it was good. I wasn't there, but I seen some of the videos. It looked great. That I think that was probably the first time winner case, and that was probably, the most impressive. We all know how good Trevor is, so to beat him, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we heard lots. Oh, go ahead, Jacob.
And I would, it was your first win, but I was watched video going back. Even you probably had, if there's room for improvement, there was a couple times I've seen you push, hit some bumps. So can you look back at that and be like, yeah, I won, but I know I'm faster than that.
Yeah, I have.
Well, we heard a lot of screams, a lot of hollering during the in victory lane. So it looks like you had a lot of family and friends there, huh?
Yeah, I had a lot more than what I was looking forward to. A lot of people came down there.
Does that put some pressure on you?
No, not really.
Or do you like having the support?
I like having the support.
Yeah, I mean, you had so many people in victory lane, we couldn't even see the car in victory lane. Well, let's talk to Dad. Ryan, how does this rank for you as far as top racing moments for you?
Yeah, it's got to be number 1 in my book. So he's my biggest fan, and I like to see him win. It was just one for the record books I'll never forget.
Yeah. What have you noticed kind of about his growth as a race car driver the last few years?
But he don't need Dad's advice. He's way better than I ever thought I'd be. So I tried teaching him, and he don't need my help. He's way far advanced than I could be.
Yep. Now, driving the car is one part. What about working on the car, setting it up, all that? Is that Pops?
Sometimes, most of the time it is.
So Pops got the secret, got the work, the notebook on everything, huh?
Yeah.
Yep. So this is your second year in a street stock, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe Kason, what are some drivers that you look up to besides the big guy sitting next to you?
Oh, mainly Trevor Isaac. He helps me out a lot. So does Eric. Those are probably the 2 biggest guys in my class that I look up to a lot.
Yeah, and if you wanna beat the best, I guess it's not a bad idea to kind of try and follow in their footsteps, watch what they're doing, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about national drivers? Do you watch any like national late model racing or anything like that? Who are some of the drivers that you watch?
One of the biggest guys I watch is probably Brandon Shepard.
Okay.
About it. Probably just Brandon Shepard.
Yep. Well, Kason, what's your goal for the rest of the season?
Do good in the points, at least get top 8 in points, and hopefully get a couple more wins.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting the heat race wins now. Now you topped it off with a feature win. So yeah, I mean, I think you're going down the right path. Well, now it's time for Dad to get one in the pro mod. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice, but there's a tough competition in that thing too. So.
It is, and I know Ryan. We've talked a lot over the last year or so, and I know you were running real well at the end of the season last year, and Sometimes it takes a lot of luck too, doesn't it?
Takes a lot of luck, and don't build a new car because that's not the answer.
Well, Jacob, do you have any other questions for the Timmons crew? We appreciate them joining us. We're going to have them on for a longer interview for an actual podcast later on, but we wanted to make sure we brought Kason on to celebrate that win since it just happened. But Jacob, did you have any other questions for him?
What kind of new car did you build? I've seen a little bit on Facebook. I thought you bought one, then sold it, and then did you buy another one?
Yeah, I built a bullet car. I think it'll be fine. I just got to sit down and figure it out and drive a little smarter than I have been the last couple of weeks.
Well, Kason, we're really happy for you, man. It's awesome to get your first win, and it happened at Highland. Going to be something you'll always remember happening at Highland. And I told you I was going to put you on the spot earlier today. What sponsors would you like to thank on the car?
Mainly Rod Speed Shop, Timmons Fast Lane, Signs and Designs, GM Decorating, Cox Alarms and Tech, Weingartner Auto Repair. Weingartner Auto Repair, Boardwalk Construction, Just Killing Time, 3T Welding and Repairs, and that's about it.
Well, if you're going to be in Victory Lane some more, you're going to have to get that down pat, right?
Oh yeah.
Hey, who do we got? Who do we got joining over there in the corner? I see somebody. We got a third guy.
That's the crew chief.
I think I've seen him in a go-kart.
He's almost ready for a go-kart. Right now, he's our crew chief, our security guard, and all-in-one tech guy.
That's great. Well, Ryan, you're also a big supporter of Highland Speedway. You're a corporate sponsor, so I told you I'd give you a chance to plug your business. So go ahead and do that.
I don't really know what to say. Just everybody come see me if you need an oil change. Good old Timmons Fast Lane here in Central City, Illinois.
Yep. So I got your address on there, 331 South Commercial. So, yep, if you're down in the Marion County area, down in Centralia, Central City, make sure you get down there and see Ryan, see the whole crew. They'll take real good care of you. Like I said, they're a corporate sponsor at Highland Speedway, so we appreciate that. And like I said, we'll have you guys on at some point later on this season for a full interview. We'll talk about how you guys got into racing, all that good stuff, because I know there's some history, and I know, Ryan, you do some collecting of some pictures. You got all kinds of memorabilia in your shop there and in the oil change place, so we'll make sure we talk about that, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, good luck the rest of the season. We hope we'll see you on Saturday, and we'll see you then, okay?
All right. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks, guys. Well, that was Ryan and Kason Timmons, father and son duo, that make it out there just about every Saturday night at Highland. Pretty cool for Kason, the young guy, to win that, isn't it, Jacob?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's good when we got new winners.
Yep. Well, we're going to bring on our guest for tonight. Definitely not a new winner. This guy's won a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah. I've followed him a little bit. I know back when my cousins used to race quarter midgets at Greenville, his parents were running it, and that's kind of when I first got to know the name and followed them a little bit, but I've just never been the biggest midget racing guy until recently.
Yep. Well, we're becoming bigger open wheel fans here at Highland. He's an open wheel star. He's won 4, I think, national midget championships, including the 2022 Extreme Outlaw Series championship. Almost always finds himself in the hunt when he shows up. He's from our area. Pocahontas on his bio, runs the 5D Speed Shop out of Greenville. It's Zach Daum. What's up, Zach?
Hey, what y'all know?
The Master of Bad Decisions. I like the title.
Seems to fit me well anymore.
Well, I think, Jacob, you're gonna kick off the questioning.
Yeah. So Zach, let's start at the beginning. Tell us how you got your start in open wheel racing, an area that is known more for stock car racing. I know your dad raced at Highland a little bit, and how involved is your dad in your racing currently? Because I know you used to run for it back in the day.
Yeah, I kind of got started started racing quarter midgets. 'Cause that's really all you had for kids back then. Went from quarter midgets into the micros. Did a short stint in a late model. Figured out I wasn't big enough to fight my way out of the pits every night, and So we went back to racing micros for another year, and then into the midget stuff. And once we ran midgets there for a little while, then I started venturing in the sprint car stuff. But mainly midgets is midgets is where my love is, and that's where our bread and butter is. So I'm kind of just stuck with the midget stuff here lately. And if you're having fun, you're racing that, it's something to stick with.
You said did your dad race at Highland?
Yeah, you'll never see him in a victory lane picture there, but he did attempt to race there. He'll be the first one to tell you that he wasn't very good. He just had a lot of fun doing it. So he raced for probably about 10 years, and then I kind of showed some interest in it, and he kind of took a step back, I guess. He put another kid in his car, and then started racing with me, and I guess it'd be 96 we started. So he just took a step back then, and then once I started racing a little more competitively, it was just all for me at that point in time.
What kind of car did you race at Highland?
Back then it would have been a late model. I think it was still a sportsman car. At certain places was a sportsman, certain places was a late model. Back then rules were a little bit different than what they were now, but it was basically what the late model class is now.
Yep. And I think how involved is he still in your racing as far as your dad?
I think he went to 3 races last year. Went to Chili Bowl, and then he went to Marion when we ran the midgets there. Then he came to Highland. He watches every night, or I imagine he watches just about every night. Dirt Vision, Flow, start to finish. There's so many streaming services now that you can pretty well see every race wherever we're racing at. So he doesn't go as much as he used to, but he still watches every night. So it just probably got burnt out. I've raced a lot of races since '96, and a lot of traveling, a lot up and down the road, a lot of late nights, a lot of car washes, and he just it's easy to get burnt out.
Sure. What about Highland? How many times have you actually raced at Highland?
So I've ran 2 micro races, a sprint car race, and a midget race. So 4 times. It's the closest racetrack to me, and it's probably the racetrack I've been to the most in my life. But I've only got to race there 4 times.
And were you in victory lane any of those times?
The second time, we ran my buddy's micro there for, I think it would have been the first. It would have been the first annual Greg McCrae Memorial. So we actually won that night, and we had a shot at the sprint car race till we broke. It was 2 years ago now, and then the midget race there last year, we weren't very good. So we're gonna try to be better for that this year.
Sure. Well, how about the current state of midget racing? We hear a lot about this lack of respect thrown around a lot. So what's kind of going on in midget racing right now?
A lot of young kids, no discipline type of deal. When I started racing, you still had guys that were older, and there was still respect back then. That's just that's all across all forms of motorsports and life in general. There's not as much respect as there used to be in just natural life. But midget racing's bad because we got such young kids coming in that are fast. They all have talent, but some of them never done any sheet time, never woke up in a hospital, never realized that these cars can hurt you, and so they just race. They race like retards, and they need somebody to just go and punch them in the mouth every now and again. Unfortunately, we can't because some of them aren't 18 yet, but we can't punch their dads in the mouth, and that kind of needs to. Somebody's got to teach them right. So somebody needs to do that. We can be that guy. We've been that guy here lately, so it needs to be fixed. Because I hate getting on social media and hearing how bad midget racing is. I love midget racing. I think midget racing, when it is done properly, is one of the most purest, most badass forms of racing that there could be. I will watch a good midget race over any, and I'm a big fan of all motorsports. I'll watch two snails race across the floor if it's a good race. So I will, but in my gut, my heart, like midget racing, I just feel is so pure, and just the way it is right now, it's not. And until we get that, hopefully here, hopefully pretty soon, near future, we can get some of that back. But it's going to take a little bit of time.
Is it because, a lot of these young kids are hired guns? I mean, they don't have any ownership in the car. Like you said, they don't have any sheet time.
Yeah, that's a lot of them are, somebody's writing a check for it, and there's a lot of pressure on these young kids because every one of them is the next Jeff Gordon or the next Kyle Larson, or they're all going to NASCAR in their head and their parents' heads and whoever, and there's a lot of pressure to live up to that expectation. So what with pressure comes dumb decisions is the way I kind of look at it. They all need to realize that half of them ain't going to NASCAR. More than half. I mean, there ain't probably the kids who we're racing with, none of us, other than Jade's on the track to get there. She's talented. She's a female. She's what they're looking for right now. She's probably the only one with a legitimate shot to get there. And the rest of us, we're all just racing dirt cars, and we're having a good time doing it. We're not going to get rich at it. We're not going to NASCAR. We're enjoying this, trying to make our house payment every month, or some of us are. So I don't know how to fix that, other than what I've stated before, but the young kids, they do have a lot of pressure on them, and, the problem with being young is you don't know how to handle that pressure. They don't have a job. They don't have a boss yelling at them. They don't have to make payroll every week. They don't know how to handle the pressures of life. And so then when they get behind the wheel of a race car, they don't know how to handle the pressures of the expectations that they're supposed to be fulfilling. And, that just comes with time. So hopefully they learn that as it goes, and we can just get back to midget racing being good and pure again.
I think that leads right into Jacob's next question.
Yeah, so you kind of already answered it. So, do you think the racing's better 10, 15 years ago than it is now? And you kind of spoke that it's just people writing a check. For the people that don't know, how big a checks are these parents or sponsors having to write for these kids to get like a KKM ride?
I do not know what the number is this year. I've heard anywhere from 350 to 450. That's a lot of dollars every night. When you break that over 50, 60 races, you're talking big amounts of money, more than what it pays to win the race. So they're obviously not doing it for the money at that point. If they're paying to race in an event, they're paying more to race an event than what that race pays to win. That's part of the problem. I don't know. Again, they can get it. Keith has got a dynasty built there. He's got people lined up to write them checks. So as long as he can keep writing those or keep collecting those checks, he's going to keep doing it. And why wouldn't you? I mean, he's built a very good business there. So there's a lot of other people that are trying to emulate that, but obviously Keith Kunz is one of the greatest midget crew chiefs owners of his day. I don't think there's anybody with any more drillers than him. There's nobody with more USAC championships. There's nobody with more races won. I think he passed the 9 car. I think he passed the 9 cars up a few years ago. So, obviously that's the best of you are the Mecca. So, you deserve to get paid for your crew chiefing ownership abilities. But that check's a big check to write.
Well, the math that you were talking about there, Zach, 350,000. Let's go the low number. divided by 60 races, that's almost $6,000 per race to roll that car out. And what are the midget races paying? 5,000, sometimes 10,000.
Yeah, we're mainly $4 and $5 grand to win. Every now and again we'll get a 10. I think the BC39 might pay 15, but for the most part we're $4 and $5 grand to win races. 200 to 300 to start. Not a ton of money. It's good money for midget racing now. We used to race for 2,000 to win, 200 to start. So it is getting better for us, but the math still doesn't math out right. I'm not very smart. I went to school in Bond County, and it still doesn't make any sense to me. So you just hope that the parent has enough. Obviously, they have enough money that the check clears every week, and they go have fun.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the cost in super late model racing, modified racing. What's driving the cost in the midgets? You build them. You kind of know what goes behind them.
The engines just cost so much. Parts cost. I mean, that's what they cost. We've built new engines here, and it just costs money. The cars are fairly reasonable. I mean, you can spend as much money as you want to on one. You can put all carbon, all titanium, or you can put steel bolts and aluminum bodies. I mean, that is just prerogative of whatever you can afford to spend. But what you have to put in it for an engine to be competitive is a lot of money. And it's as much for a midget engine as it is for a sprint car or a late model motor. And we have 4 cylinders instead of 8. So that's, when you break it down, cost per cylinder on a V8 motor seems a lot better than cost per cylinder on a 4-cylinder motor.
Yeah, that cost per displacement's a little higher. So what's a midget motor going for these days?
I don't even know what a new Toyota cost. I've heard, again, I don't need to price one out. So, but the last time I've heard, they've been in the 70 range. I believe a new Stanton is around 50, 40, 45, 52-ish, somewhere in that range, which is better, but that's still a lot of money. You can go buy a nice boat or something. You can do something else with that money. So you really have to love midget racing to go spend that amount of money on an engine. But if you want to be competitive right now, you got to have one or the other, either a Toyota or an SR11.
Can you times that times 2? Are they typically carrying 2 engines or no?
I mean, so the guys I drive for in Oklahoma, they have 4 of them. We have a second car that's running this year, so they've got 4 engines. And then the guys I drive for in Texas, they've got 3 engines. Sometimes they run 2 cars. That's cost of doing business.
Wow.
It's if you can, and I think that's a big reason why some of the rental stuff is happening now, is try to offset some of that cost. But you never, I don't think you ever really make any money doing this. You can somewhat justify why you do it, but I don't think you're ever going to make any money at it. But you'll end up accumulating a lot of parts and pieces that you can sell at the end of the day when you're done midget racing, and get some of your investment back.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, you said you'll watch 2 snails race down the road. So I'm guessing you're paying attention to the World of Outlaws versus High Limit.
Yeah, that's I've got good friends on both sides of that fence, so it's been an interesting dynamic here since that's been announced, and it's pretty cool. There's a lot of money being spent in that, a lot of money being thrown around. It's a lot of cool races. I think there's a place for both series. I don't know why there wouldn't be. The All-Stars the All-Stars used to be there. So, with High Limit buying the All-Stars, there's no reason why they both can't exist. It doesn't have to be a competition against one another. I think they're trying to drive it into that competition style, but it doesn't really need to be. There's room for both series, and let the car owners and the drivers decide where they want to race. And if they feel like they're a better fit with the Outlaws, then they're a better fit there. But it's been interesting to see how it's all played out, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out through the next 9 months till we get to the end of the year, or 6-8 months till the end of the year, and then kind of figure out what's going to happen for next year.
What do you think? What are some things that you like that High Limit's doing? Maybe that's different.
The only thing I really like about the High Limit deal is they don't tell you can only run their races. They give you the free reign to go race other races, where the Outlaws, once you sign that contract, you have to get permission to go run another race, and you can only run, four races without losing your platinum membership or whatever. And then I think you're allowed to run 8 before you lose your tow money or something. I used to have all that information, but I've kind of forgot it now. But on the flip side of that, the High Limit was the guys that own the High Limit series were bitching about racing too much, and that's why they wanted to split off and not have to do the Outlaw deal, and then they go and race even more. So that's kind of a weird
Because
situation there. But
originally their plan was just a High Limit was going to race during the week, right? Weekday series.
I think that's kind of what it started out as, and which was great. They had, where else can you go watch a race or go compete in a race for $20,000 to win on a Tuesday night? I mean, that's unheard of money for sprint car racing, or just dirt racing in general, especially for a Tuesday night. There's nothing else going on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and now you can either drive to Eagle, Nebraska and race, or next week there's the ditch. That's only 4 hours from here or something. So now that stuff's good money. So it'll be interesting to see if they can maintain the whole persona that they've got right now, and the money that's being spent and being thrown around. Obviously, flow money is really, really good. Obviously, Kyle Larson has some money and knows some people that have some money, so he can kind of, if he needs to, he can keep bankrolling that, and until it gets up on his feet. You're never going to put the World of Outlaws out of business, though. Like, that's never going to happen. Many series have tried, and they didn't last very long. So the Outlaws is a powerhouse type of deal. There's just too much prestige, too much money, too much heritage there for that just to go away. So, but they both can coexist, and I believe at some point in time here in the near future, they're going to figure out how to coexist.
Because I don't think High Limit's not trying to put World of Outlaws out of business, right?
Depends on what day you talk to them. I think some days they want to be that big fish, and other days that they realize that they're not going to be that big fish. And there's room for two touring sanctioning bodies. I mean, the World Outlaws late models and the Lucas Oil late models coexist. There's no reason why that these two can't coexist with the sprint cars.
Yep, that makes sense. Well, Jacob, you're up.
How tough is it juggling everything you got going on? You got the 5D Speed Shop, which is fairly new. I know you're building chassis, King chassis, being a dad, and traveling racing full time. So what consumes the most of your time?
Everything. Yeah, I don't know. I wake up in the morning and I just figure out what fires I need to put out that day. When trying to start a bar, that's where I'm kind of sitting at right now, is in my bar, which is in the front of my speed shop. And then we've also got a machine shop, engine shop here too. So we sell a lot of fuel, and we're always running fuel around. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. Each day I kind of just wake up and go, what fire needs put out today, and what do I need to do, and how quickly can I get it done so I can go racing. Normally Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays roll around, and I'm not, I'm on the road. I'm somewhere. Luckily we have 3 employees here that are for the most part, pretty good. They can kind of maintain things while I'm gone racing, and they're, I'm just a phone call away. So it's a lot to juggle, and I know I think I put my wife through hell some days, or a lot of days, because I leave early and I don't get home till late, and she's got, we got 4-month-old twins, and then Remy's 3 now, so he's a little hellion, and then the twins are just twins. They don't know any better, so they're hellions too, but they just don't know they are yet. So it's just it's a juggle, when you trying to get everything running and the bar running and everything, just where it's just a maintained situation where you don't have to try to start everything every day.
Are they
Yeah,
going to
well,
travel with you at all this year?
Yeah, they go to 90% of the races. Even when I run for, I don't know if I'd enjoy racing anymore without my family. Remy knows everybody in the pit area, so he just kind of bounces from trailer to trailer, and it's really fun to see him grow up in that aspect of it. So we take the toter everywhere we go, and just so we have somewhere for them to go during the day. And me and my dad grew up racing. From when we were 5 years old, we all raced as a family. My mom, my dad, my sister, we all race. So that's kind of how this is going to be with these kids, as long as they want to race and be around it.
No, I think that's cool, making it a family affair. And for people that don't know, I mean, you and I, we both went to Bond County schools, right? And so you're in what used to be the Nobby Schmidt Chevy dealership, right?
Yep. Yes. Yep.
Yep. So you've turned the back of the dealership.
Back of the dealership is where we build the cars and sell. That's where my shop is, and we sell parts. And I converted the front half of it into a bar, which hopefully here in the next couple weeks or months is actually up and running, and been one of my biggest headaches. But I don't know how long ago it's been since Steve Schmidt was here. I don't know. It's been out of high school for
Gosh, it's been 20 years or more, 25 years. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I remember being in high school, and my dad had bought this building to make it into a grocery store. So, and I graduated in 2009, so it's been a long time since he was here. He actually showed up here about maybe a year ago. He showed up and walked through it and kind of seen what we had done with it and what we were doing. So that was kind of cool.
What do you ultimately want the 5D Speed Shop to be? Is it a destination for all racers to stop in and make a pit stop?
Yeah, that's at the end of the day. Yes, that's what like SRI and what Algar has in Springfield is really, really good for the racer. They can go in there and get basically anything you need. Mike Algar sold a lot of tires over the years, and he was a smart businessman to put it in the speed shop that he has there now. And it just all takes a lot of money. We're slowly getting there, and we try to get more and more inventory in every day and every week and every month, and you just try to make it better and better as you go. But it ultimately we're gonna get there. If this with the way you walk in now, I'm gonna have a sign where you either go to the bar or you go to the shop, and it's just gonna say bad decisions, and it's gonna have a sign for either way. So either when racers are in town, they can use the shop, and we got pressure washers and everything here where if they want to work out of it, they can. For guys out on the road, and then at nighttime they can come into the bar, and I can kind of get them. I can sell them parts and I can sell them beer. So they lose either way.
And you got plenty of parking in the parking lot for haulers, right?
Yeah, big parking lot, drive all the way around it, and I'm working on getting some plug-ins put in so people can just plug in instead of having to run their generators, and just make it to where it's an enjoyable time for everybody to come.
Yep. Well, you got a great location, pretty convenient to get off the interstate and get there. So yep, I think you got a good thing going there.
Yeah, it's just like anything. It takes time just to get it all situated, but we're slowly getting there.
Yep. I want to ask you a little bit about racing in Australia. You've done some racing down under?
Yeah, yep. Raced over Australia and New Zealand quite a bit. Haven't been there for the last couple years, but we'll get back there this year. So it's a whole lot of fun. Both places, both countries are beautiful, and you get to meet a lot of great people. I met my wife in New Zealand, so
Right.
she, best thing that ever happened out of there. So I enjoy going and doing that sort of stuff. It's a lot of fun, and just it's there. I don't like the cold either, so when it gets cold here, I can go over there, and it's their summer, and it's nice. I don't ever have to wear pants, so I can wear shorts year round, and that's nice. But it's a lot of fun, and I really do enjoy going over there.
What's it like racing over there compared to the United States, and like how do the fans compare?
Like when you're at Western Springs for the 50 lapper boxing night, there's 25,000 people there.
Wow.
And I mean, the atmosphere there for those races, it rivals Chili Bowl, it rivals Knoxville Nationals. I've never been to the World or the Dream, but I would assume it rivals that sort of atmosphere. When you're lining up for the feature, you can feel the tension in the air, and it's pretty damn cool. I mean, I don't get to race in front of 25,000 people very often, and that's really, really cool. Now you go to some places that, are lucky to get 25 people in the grandstand. So, just Western Springs is located in a really, really good place in New Zealand. So it's so rich with history over there. So they all flock to those events, and they all know the history of what midget racing means over there. So that's really cool, and something I'm looking forward to getting back to this year.
Yep. No, I noticed there's always a Kiwi on your helmet, or you've got some Australian on maybe it was on your race suit or something like that.
Yeah. I've got one of my sponsors is Kiwi Landscaping, and he actually lives in Kansas City now, but he was originally from New Zealand, and he always joked that the only reason he ever started talking to me was because him and my wife were the only two people that could understand each other in the pit area. So so he's been a great help to me. But yeah, I don't know when the last time he went to New Zealand or has been back home, but he's still accent's still thick, and he still loves his country.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jacob.
Since you're talking about racing in New Zealand, what year was it where you had your really bad wreck over there?
I want to say 2016-ish. Years kind of run together anymore. I think about 8 years ago. That was in Australia, but that one was bad. That was the start of a lot of my headaches and concussion issues and things that I needed to get fixed. So spent some sheet time. Got to spend 3 days in an Australian hospital. No hearing aids, no cell phone for first couple days, and that was one of my less memorable trips, but it still makes for a fun story now.
Yeah.
Well, and then
so go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, real quick, I was going to say, then you and I talked recently, Zach, because my dad was having some issues with vertigo, and we kind of talked, and you went and got some treatment from the same doctor as Dale Jr. Is that right?
Yep. Mickey Walker's his name. He's works out of either the Steelers or the Penguins. Just depends on where you meet him at their training facilities, and a lot of good people have been through there, and I kind of credit him with saving my life and my career. I was a straight up dickhead to be around. I couldn't deal with people. Didn't want to do anything, and my racing was suffering from it. And I went there and kind of got my life turned around, and I credit him for all that.
Talk about some of the treatments or some of the things that they had you do. I know that was pretty interesting. I mean, the Epley treatment stuff, some of that.
Yeah, they had certain. You had to go in there and test, and then they kind of figured out what section of the brain that you had injured and how to fix that part of the brain. And there's certain hand-eye coordination stuff we had to do, and then just being in better shape, running, walking, and just a lot of it was more hand and eye coordination, just trying to retrain your brain to what it needs to do. And then the worst one for me at the time was going and spending an hour and a half in Walmart every day. You just literally had to walk around Walmart and talk to people. And that whole people of Walmart thing that goes around on Facebook's like a real thing. Like there's actually real people that look like that every day there. So that was quite wild. I kind of got to experience that a little bit, and not in the best situation to do that, but it was entertaining.
So that was
And
part of your treatment your assignment was to go to Walmart and do that.
Yep. Yeah. I just didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to talk to people. I would, especially if I seen somebody I knew, I'd duck and go the other way just so I didn't have to talk to them. And that made me it forced me to get whatever part of that brain that triggers, just made me get over that and just force myself to do it. And now it's, now when you walk in the door, if I duck you or try to go the other way, it's just because I don't want to talk to you. It's not because I will now. And it was one of them treatments I kind of thought was crazy. And then by the time it was all said and done, it was a big deal.
Well, and none of the Walmart managers came up and said, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing here going around for an hour and a half talking to people?"
Well, I mean, luckily we were in Highland, so at some point in time you would bump into somebody you knew, and you could talk to them for a little bit. But just saying hi and how's your day going, and we didn't have to have a conversation. It was just a matter of just saying hi, how are you doing, and how's your day going, and it's cloudy outside, and and some people would agree with you and some people won't argue with you. So it was just it was difference in the people that would come and talk to you. Obviously you deal with people every day, so you see that, and you see the difference in how people want to talk and argue, and it just a difference of people, I guess.
But it sounded like it helped.
Yeah, it's what saved me. If I wouldn't have done all of that, and he said, if you don't do all the treatments in together, and it's not going to work. And so that was, I prided myself on doing everything every day that he told me to, because I really wanted to get better, and that's what, and that was one of the things I had to do. So I just had to go buck up and do it.
Sound like you were a pretty good patient.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd agree, but it worked out well for me.
Well, Jacob, I think you were going to ask him about the crate stuff, right?
Yeah. So when the crate stuff was big around here, you raced one of the Heckle late models. Did you ever win a crate race? I think you won one at Tri-City, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. So we actually had our own car for a year. Well, don't ask me what year it was, but we bought a old Terry English car, and we went and bought a crate motor and just went and raced, and we ended up winning. I think we won twice at Brownstown, once at Mount Vernon, and once at Tri-City on the old quarter mile, and which is, I'm dating myself at that point in time because the old quarter mile's been gone for a long time. So it.
Well, Jacob, looks like we lost. He's right. He's right back. So we'll get him. There he is. He's back.
Yep. And in the meantime, that got me to where we met the Hex, and me and Aaron he was best man at my first wedding. And, we all became really, really good friends and got to racing around with them. And it was a lot of fun. I don't know if I want to go back and do it anymore, but it was a lot of fun back then.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Is there any scenario where you see yourself getting in a late model or any other type of car that's not open wheel?
Well, I have a feeling you will see me in a modified here within the next couple months. I've had, I gave Nick a down payment for a car, so we are just kind of waiting on Nick Hoffman at this point in time to get me a frame, and we're putting an engine together, and I'm gonna attempt to see how many people I can run into with fenders.
Well, I think that's pretty exciting. So you heard it here first on the Highland Dirt
Yeah.
Podcast. Zach Daum
Yeah.
has purchased an Elite chassis, modified chassis from Nick Hoffman. So where are you going to race at?
I guess it all depends on when I actually get the car. Nick's not the fastest guy in the world, and he's got, I'm the 18th one on order. So I don't know if I'll get it this year, next year. I'm not really sure at the moment. If I get it early enough this year, I'd like to, run as much stuff around here as I can. And obviously all of our local tracks, just because it's whenever we're not midget racing, or especially when we are midget racing, a lot of times the modifieds are a support class. So I can still go kind of double dip. And I always kind of joked I go racing by myself a lot. So my biggest issue is always getting to staging, and this thing's got a starter, so I should be able to go race, and I can start it up and drive myself to staging, and it should be fun. It's something different. I think it's a different discipline of racing that's hopefully gonna help me in our other forms of racing too. So anytime, the more cars you can race, the better you're gonna get, and hopefully that's what happens.
We got somebody in the comments, Zach. We got a Scott Standifer. I think Rodney Standifer is in the comments too, but he's saying Dom gonna look like Cannonball in a modified.
Yeah. Cannon runs over a lot of shit, so I'll probably have to go apologize to some people after the first couple of nights of racing, because I won't have any idea how big that thing is at the beginning. But once I get my feet around me, I don't plan on really running into too many people. But I know I did it in the late model a couple times where you don't realize how big they are. Anything I'd ever ran was a micro or a midget and a sprint car, and then you get in something that's you got another 15 feet behind you, and you got 7, 10, 12 foot ahead of you. Like they're just big, bulky cars. So once I get the grasp of that, I shouldn't look like Cannonball too much.
No, I think that's great. I think it'd be great to see you in a stock car. When is the last time? How many years has it been since you raced in a stock car?
Had to be 07. I think I ran a couple. Whatever year Aaron won the national championship with the crate deal, and I know there was a couple nights that I got to run another car just so they had I got to run an extra car just because that was another entry so he could get full points. I hot lapped Darren Klein's late model at Brownstown, but that's been 8 years ago now, 7-8 years ago. And I looked like a monkey in a football there. So I'm going to have a big learning curve. I know that much.
No, I think that's interesting. So it'll be fun to see you do that. So September 14th, Zach, at Highland Speedway. Highland's going to have, I think, what's the first solely open wheel show that maybe Highland's ever ran. So it's going to be the Extreme Outlaw Series midgets, I think, plus the Power Eye midgets, the MOA 410 sprints, and the micros. So what do you think about an open wheel showcase right here in your backyard?
I'm hoping hell don't freeze over. I never thought I'd see the day where I'd see that much open wheel racing at Highland. I'm excited as anybody for that. I grew up going to Highland a lot. When I wasn't racing, we were there watching. I was there I don't know, I think my mom said I was 6 weeks old when I went there to watch for the first time. So I grew up there, and I've watched a lot of good races there. So I'm really happy that we're getting some open wheel shows there now, and hopefully I can run. I'm gonna try to run all three classes that night, and it'd be really cool to win all three. But we'll it'll just, man, I just never thought I'd see the day where I'd get to see that much open wheel racing at Highland. So I'm really excited about it. I was really excited for the first couple MOA shows, and we got the Extreme Outlaw show there. So I'm like a kid in a candy store when we get to race that close to home and at a track that I feel like is going to produce really good open wheel racing.
Yeah, the midgets. I mean, I know I had never watched the midgets live in person before. Lots on TV with the Chili Bowl and different things, but man, seeing the slide jobs and seeing you guys throw it in from the moon there. I mean, it's a wild form of racing.
Yeah, and Highland promotes that slide job so well because the corners are so wide, and you got long straightaways, and the corners are so wide that you have so much room to slide across there. And it's, when we, like anything, you got to have the properly prepared racetrack to produce that sort of racing. And I think the last one that we had was really, really good. We were going in above the cushion into 1 and 3, and I mean, it was gnarly. So I think we can expect something of the same, and with the sprint cars to help widen the racetrack out a little bit more. Like, I think it has all the potential to be hopefully one of the best shows Highland's ever seen.
Yeah, I know Taylor Reimer threw a big slide job on you towards the end of the Extreme Series race this year.
Yeah, rather not relive that, but yeah, that's we just got so tight there at the end of the race, and them guys could bomb off in there and drive across, and if I did, I'd start bouncing, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna roll this thing back in the trailer, and we're gonna live to race another day. Tonight's not our night.
Yep. What about, you and I both grew up in Greenville. There's a dirt track in Greenville.
I've tried. I've called the fair board. I call the fair board every winter about trying to put on shows. I can't even get them to call me back. I can't get them to answer an email. I can't get them nothing. I've got guys that would go in with me on doing something. Nothing. They don't want. They don't want to see racing there. They don't want to see nothing, and it's unfortunate.
What track exactly are we talking about racing on?
The dirt track, the quarter mile.
Okay, the quarter mile. Okay.
Yeah. They still race on the, they have the quarter midget tracks still out there. For the pavement, there's a concrete, what are they, 10th miles or whatever they are. So that's still going, and they still race there. I don't think they race there weekly anymore, but quite a bit. And then, but the quarter mile hasn't been raced in a long time, and I wish it would. It always produced good racing when they did race there, but
how long has it been? When was the last race in Greenville on the dirt?
Had to be 2006, 2007 ish. They had that fast track, had the car series, and I know, fast track was racing there at the time. That was a year before we got a late model, and so it'd be 6, 7, somewhere in that vicinity. And I don't think they've raced there since then.
Yeah, it would be cool to see it now. Do they utilize the actual grandstands with that track or no?
Yeah. That grandstands, it's still there. It's old, but it's there. It's usable. Yep. You would have to bring in more grandstands for big events there, which is I believe in the city's ordinance are only allowed to make noise there 6 nights a year, or they're allowed to have 6 races a year. So, you'd, in a perfect world, you'd have 6 really big shows, and, just get in, get out, get done, and, don't piss the neighbors off with the sound and be done with it. But I just don't think nobody there wants to see it.
Yeah. Well, one of my best friends is city councilman. Maybe we'll have to start chipping away at that project. So, hey, September 14th, you need to have that bar ready. I think we need to have a big party at the 5D shop, don't we?
Yeah, no, if the bar isn't open by September 14th, I'm probably just going to burn it to the ground and call that headache just abandoned. But no, I'd like to sponsor something there that night, and everybody that comes from the races gets a free beer or something. Just make it to where we all come back here and have a good time, and kind of be like what Mooches used to be back in the day when Highland and Mooches, and that was always a place to go after the races. So hopefully we can get back to that and have a cool little hangout.
That would be cool.
So,
well, Jacob, I think you're going to ask him about 2024.
Yeah, what's your schedule looking like? Is it strictly midget, the 410 stuff? I know you raced the wingless sprints down in Florida this year. Are you going to do any more of that?
My head says not a lot left of that. No, we're going to do all the extreme stuff and all the USAC midget stuff, which is 60 something races there. And then we're going to do probably 15, 20 shows in McGarry's 31 sprint car. And then I'll probably fill in the rest of the shows with my sprint car. And then whenever we get a modified, we'll fill in the rest of those races whenever that happens.
Well, you're talking about racing down in Florida. Yeah, you had a pretty bad wreck down there with the USACs, right?
Yep. Yeah, USAC non-wing stuff at Bubba.
Yeah. What happened there? It looked like you caught a wheel, and man, I mean, you flipped and left the track. Yeah.
I just drove into the guy's right rear, and 100% my fault. Put myself in a bad position, and if I'd have got by him, I'd have been on the front row for the feature, and who knows what happens at that point in time. But instead, I got a front row seat in an ambulance, and got to end my Florida trip a little early.
Yeah, there was some pretty dramatic video, not only of you obviously leaving the track, but as you were getting out of the car. I mean, the thing was that it kind of boom, like went up in flames a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah. When I was upside down, things squirt some oil out of it, and so it was just an oil fire. It looked a lot worse than what it was, but it luckily didn't do no damage, but just flared up, and just wrong time for the situation for it to be on fire. So luckily didn't get hurt too bad on it. Obviously destroyed the race car and all that, but race cars are fixable, and we can live to race another day.
Did you hear the guy saying, is the fuel off? Is the fuel off? That he asked it like 15 times. Yeah,
no, I did not hear him. When I watched the video, I heard him. I was like, wow, what a dumbass. But he obviously doesn't know much about sprint car racing. Once the motor quits running, the fuel's off. But he meant well. He meant well, right? Yeah. The casual fan doesn't always know all those sorts of technical questions. But
yeah, sure.
He meant well. He thought it was a fuel fire. Methanol doesn't burn like that. So again, that's not a technical question that he would have known. So he meant well. He was trying, but it was not meant to be for him.
And then there was kind of again, I'm not the technical guy either, so I'm going to ask you, there was kind of a boom explosion. What was that? Was there fire suppression? Was there anything that went off there?
I didn't have my hearing aids in, so I'm not sure if there was I didn't hear any boom or nothing, but there was a lot of other things going on that I didn't catch that. Yeah,
but you got out under your own power. Looks like you had two black eyes the next day.
Yeah, eyes went bloodshot pretty good. They took about almost 3 weeks for the blood vessels my eyes went back to normal, which was a lot longer than I was hoping that they'd take. But that's the worst thing I had. I had a headache the next day, but I never lost consciousness, never got dizzy, haven't had any concussion symptoms or anything like that. So worst case scenarios, I had a case of red eye. So that for as vicious as that crash was, I think I'll take that and move on.
Yep. Count your blessings there. I think it could have, for as bad as crash it was, it went about as well as possible, I guess, right?
Yeah. It could have been a lot worse. I mean, another 10 feet deeper into the corner, we land in the grandstands and, possibly kill somebody. And I mean, it was the best case of a worst case situation.
Yep. Go ahead, Jake.
So you kind of answered one of the questions earlier about the goals for the speed shop, but do you ever think you'll get your kids into racing?
I hope so. I can't really teach them how to hit a baseball or catch a football or anything like that. So the only thing I'll be any use for them is if we go racing. So I don't think I got a shot in hell of Remy not racing. He comes to the shop most days with me, and he hangs around all day. And I've got one of my old quarter midgets here, and he, which is now turned into his quarter midget, and he's itching to get out there and get going. And I got a box stock, the outlaw carts. I got one of them for him. So I just got to get everything put together. I don't want to get him out there too young. He's only 3, and I just don't want to scare him. Let him out in the parking lot and he spin out or something, or he freaks out and hangs the throttle across the road or something. You never know what could happen. So I want to make sure he's ready for it when I do send him out there. But I asked him the other day if he wanted to, and he wanted his Formula One go-kart put together. So I don't know where I'm going to find a Formula One go-kart, but we're gonna put something together for him to go have some fun.
No, I think so. Is there a chance maybe, could you just build a little dirt track out there at the 5D Speed Shop?
I actually had a track outside my mom and dad's place. It's right next to our old shop, and I probably made 1 million laps around that place. And probably where, my dad would just push me off, and he'd go back in and work on the late model. And whenever I would either walk in and be like, "Dad, it died," or he wouldn't hear it running no more, he'd come out there and fill it back up with gas and push me off again, and I just make laps after laps. So there is enough room back there. I've already kind of measured that out and looked at that. So I'll probably end up putting something back there for him just to go make laps and make sure he's content and happy with it, and he wants to do it. If he doesn't want to race, he doesn't want to race. But I'll have to learn how to hit a baseball or something. But we'll as long as he wants to race, we'll give it our all.
Yep. Well, what do you enjoyed, Zach, most about racing? Is it the actual competition of racing itself? Is it building the race cars? Is it running the speed shop? Which part? I mean, I think I know what it is, but what part do you enjoy most about racing?
I mean, the only thing we all really love to do is to win. At the end of the day, that's if we didn't love to win, we wouldn't be doing this. We're all competitive. We all have that that kill you mentality to whatever it takes to go win a race. And that's what I enjoy the most, is obviously winning, but you lose a lot more races than you win. I mean, even Kyle Larson's percentage is under 50%. So you're gonna, in that aspect, when you put it in that way, you got to enjoy what you're doing. You got to enjoy the camaraderie. You got to enjoy the people you meet. I literally have friends all across the world. Just while we've been on this thing, I've had friends from New Zealand and Australia all text me just in the last hour. That's a big reason why I still enjoy doing this, and why we travel so much and spend so much money doing this, is because I really enjoy the people that I'm getting to race with. So as long as I'm enjoying that and I'm having a good time, we're gonna, you can keep making sense of doing it. But as soon as it doesn't soon as it becomes not fun or just becomes more like a job, then just go find something else or actually go to your job and do that instead.
What are some of your favorite tracks or maybe events that you like to race at?
Western Springs is probably my favorite place to go race at. Just the atmosphere and everything that it produces. Chili Bowl is my favorite race of the year. That's the one trophy everybody wants on their mantle. So that's big. Other than that, we go to some cool racetracks. We go to some absolute shitholes that I just can't wait to get out of. But for the most part, we go to a lot of really cool racetracks. So I don't know. Belleville, Kansas, Belleville Midget Nationals used to be one of my favorite events, and we don't get to do that anymore. So I don't know. Just even if it's a local Jacksonville Friday night show, or if we're going to Chili Bowl, they're all races, and we all enjoy them at some point in some aspect or another. So, but I'd say Western Springs is probably my favorite racetrack, and Chili Bowl is my favorite event to go to.
So maybe this season, besides Western Springs, what are you looking forward to? If you had to pick one race that you're looking forward to this year, what is it?
I think I'm supposed to say Highland Speedway, right?
Let's go.
No. In all reality, that is one of the races that I have circled. I don't get to race at home very often, so majority of my family sees the results and they'll see a highlight clip, but they have no idea what a midget or a sprint car really is. So to be able to race at home, it's only 15 miles. I drove 6 hours this past weekend to go race. To drive 15 miles down the road, that's cool. I get excited for that now, and just race at a place that kind of means a lot to me. Just been going there for so long. So that, I know this is the Highland Dirt Podcast. I was supposed to say that, but that really, it truly is one of the races I am looking forward to this year.
Yeah, that's great. What's up next on your race schedule? Where are you headed next?
We go to US 36 in Osborne, Missouri on Friday with the Extreme Outlaw Midgets and the World Outlaw Sprint Cars. And then Saturday we'll be at Sweet Springs, Missouri for a just extreme midgets.
Okay, gotcha. Well, Jacob, did you have any other questions for Zach tonight?
I had one more. You're about the only person that I kind of know that's raced midgets. And did you ever race with Brian Clausen much?
Yeah. So I actually grew up. Brian was a year or two older than me. I raced with Brian from quarter midgets on. He was next to Larson. He was as good as anybody. The Clausen family, we got to know them fairly well through quarter midget racing and all that stuff, and he was as good as anybody. He had a lot more races to win, and I think he was a guy that was obviously he's won everything that there really was to win. But I feel like he was a guy that's some point in time going to win Knoxville, with the wing car stuff. He was going to win a King's Royal, or he hadn't got deep enough into the wing racing side of things yet. He was already Triple Crown champion and all that stuff with USAC, but he hadn't got deep enough into the wing stuff yet to be truly great at it yet, and he had the talent to do that. He ran the Indianapolis 500. That's the coolest thing that any American kid can do, and he did it. So, and he led laps. He led laps at Indy, so that he was a great race car driver, and unfortunately, just gone too soon.
Yep, and that's the BC 39 race.
Yes, yep, yeah. We race dirt track there at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that whole weekend is just in Brian's honor.
Gotcha. Well, I think it's been awesome. I think you've been our first open wheel guest this year or so far on the Highland Dirt Podcast. So, you were the first go-to guy to have on here and talk about that. So we appreciate you joining us. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, absolutely. I can sit around and bullshit race talk anytime. So that
Yeah.
I think that's why I built a bar, so we can just sit around here and do this any day.
Yeah, well, you and I are gonna get together. We're gonna plan something cool for September 14th, a cool party over there, and we'll try and get all the fans. We'll try and get the show done early, and man, let's head right over to the 5D Speed Shop, and let's freaking throw a party. Let's get a band. Let's do it up. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I know some people that play music, so like we can make it happen. We can make it cool.
Yep, for sure. Well, we really appreciate you joining us. You got a big following all over the world. Like you said, people from New Zealand, Australia, we're texting you. We love all the open wheel stuff, bringing more of it to Highland Speedway. Anybody you want to give a shout out to, sponsors, talk real quick about your 5D Speed Shop business and what you offer there.
Yeah, I mean, just the speed shop here, we have an engine shop, a complete machine shop, have fabrication in the back. So basically anything that's somewhat racing related or not even racing related, we'll weld up combines and shit if that's what it takes. But anything that needs to be done, and we can try to service that.
Yep. And what's the best way to find you?
Hell, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff. I don't think I'm going to give my cell phone number out right here, but the majority of everybody already has that anyways. But any of that or Facebook Messenger or email or whatever, I'm pretty easy guy to get a hold of.
Yep. Well, we like having you local here. It's cool to have a legend in the open wheel racing world right here that we can talk to. So thanks for joining us, Zach. We really appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Yep. I'd also like to thank my co-host of the Highland Dirt Podcast, Jacob Blumenstein. So Jacob, tell everybody where they can find you most days.
You can find me at Jansen Chevrolet in Germantown, Illinois. And again, I can sell anything off our 3 lots. We got the Germantown lot, the Farm High lot, and the Breeze lot.
Yep. And let me remind everybody, the Highland Dirt Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Jansen Auto Group. Hundreds of vehicles are available right now at gojansen.com with Jansen Ford Breeze, Jansen Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and Carmi, and Jansen Chevrolet in Germantown. They have just the vehicle you're looking for. You can search their entire inventory at gojansen.com. That's gojansen.com. Find that vehicle online, then go see Jacob and buy it, right? So Jansen Auto Group is proud to support local dirt track racing and world famous Highland Speedway. Well, maybe do you folks own a business? Maybe you want to be featured on the Highland Dirt Podcast, sponsor it. Maybe you'd like to sponsor a race or a sign, have a sign at Highland Speedway. Last year, we reached over 5 million people through social media, and it's only growing from there. So send us an email at highlanddirtpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll send you over all the details. Well, guys, please follow on all the socials, Facebook, YouTube, X, and TikTok. And next up at Highland Speedway, weather permitting, are the Midwest Throwback Sprints, plus modifieds, pro mods, street stocks. This Saturday, April 6th, at world famous Highland Speedway. 20 or more throwback sprints are due to arrive, and they put on a real show. You can download this podcast where you find all your favorite podcasts, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. And I'm Kurt Vonder, your host of the Highland Dirt Podcast. And remember, folks, whether it's Peevely, Brownstown, Tri-City, Belle Claire, Highland, or your home track, get out there and support your local dirt track, would you? We'll see you guys next week.